What's going on, you guys? Oh, let me get my shit together. We are back again with another emotional ass episode of Queen Sugar. Okay, see, it didn't hit me as hard. It didn't hit me as hard as it hit me last night. Okay, and let me just say this: I feel sorry for y'all who didn't either watch it on demand or watch it on the app. Or watch the first episode last night because I was watching part of the first episode. They re-aired it right before the new one came on. And I'm gonna be honest. Whoever did the editing over there on or whatever to insert commercial breaks into there, y'all did a terrible job. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because they have to take out certain parts so it can fit into the hour time slot. And some of the parts that they took out, if you did not look at it on the first run through, you would be like, you can tell that something is missing and you need that part so you can get to the next part. I'm sitting here like, girl, that don't even sound right. We missing the whole scene. They don't know what's going on. But thank God I watched it when I was supposed to. But anyway, do better with that one. So let's get on to this episode of, I was about to say Greenleaf. Queen Sugar. Season 2. Well, damn. Season 1, episode 2, Evergreen. And I so love the fact of the way that they tied in the reason why the episode is called Evergreen at the very end. I'm sitting here like, well, damn, I didn't know that. Let me look this stuff up. Basically, the Evergreen is, showing the importance of life and, where we came from, where we can never go away from and stuff like that. It was just some deep stuff, dealing with the daddy funeral and everything. And I was just sitting here like, oh, wow, okay, this Evergreen represents this. I said, okay, because I was wondering why it was called Evergreen, but then they tied that in. So let's get into this episode. So it starts off with Nova. Nova, I can kind of tell, and I don't know if she's the oldest, which I'm thinking she probably is the oldest, and I know for sure Ralph Angel is the youngest. So I'm going to assume that she's the oldest child, and then Charley is the middle child, and then Ralph Angel is the youngest. Okay. So Nova is out in her little garden, doing her thing, and all of a sudden, here comes her side bit. No, here comes who she's the side chick too. Okay. And it's just I'm gonna really say this. I said it last night in the review about how I just, she willingly let herself be a side chick to someone who is married with kids. And then you cannot get in your feelings and everything, knowing damn well that this man, after all these years, because he said he's been giving you your space and respect for years. You cannot get in your feelings over him because after all these years, he has showed you that he is not about to leave his wife and his family anytime soon. All right. So he trying to come over there and, give her a little bit of comfort. And why didn't you tell me about your dad and all that stuff? And, when is the funeral? Okay. The funeral is going to be on Saturday. I'm gonna come and I don't have to say nothing. Nobody will know me. And she was like, you ain't gonna know nobody there and all this stuff. It was like, well, you came to my daddy's funeral and nobody knew who you are. She was like, because you are a cop. They gave your daddy a cop's funeral and it was a whole bunch of cops and stuff there. And, it was easy to just hide in the background and fade away. This is not the same thing. I'm sitting here like, you right, because I couldn't tell if it was a white person, a person of color, besides Bianca. Bianca came up in there and I don't know her name. And that's Blue Mama. I keep calling her by her real name, Bianca Larson. She came in there and put a, disrupted the ray of blackness. No, let me stop saying that because she black too, but you know what I'm saying? Because it was some dark, beautiful skin. We'll get that because y'all know, like, shout out to Edward, okay? Because he was like last night, girl, you have a thing for dark chocolate. Yes, I do. Y'all don't know that? Like, I would prefer me some dark skinned motherfucker. That is the sexiest shit ever. Anyway, moving on from that. I appreciate my blackness, you know what I'm saying? But no shade to nobody. But moving on from that. So he gave her a little kiss and basically was like, I'm here to support you with everything that you're doing and all that stuff. And it just hurt me to see the way that she kind of longs from him. She knows, and you can't tell me that she's dumb because she's a smart person. And sometimes you can be book smart, but you just not smart in other ways. Sometimes you just can't help the way that you feel, and you know that it's not right, but you just gotta go ahead with it, and you put yourself through all this hurt and this pain that you know is gonna come. You know nothing good is gonna come out of it. And the way that she looked at him when he was getting ready to leave, that longing, I want you to stay, I wish I had this all. And that's what I love about this show. This is only 2 episodes in, and when you look at the expressions on each person's face, like especially when the daddy had his, the dad and Ralph Angel in the first episode, the eyes were really speaking. Okay, they didn't need words, but just look at the expression and emotions in the face, and they were just speaking words right in there. You can just tell what they were saying, if they were, or what they were going to say if they were actually spoken word. You can see it. And that's the same thing that she gave the cop. And I'm just sitting here like, girl, I feel sorry for you because you can't let that shit go. And I don't understand it. If I can't have it, I can't be struggling with this shit. Like, I gotta move the fuck on. Okay, listen, it was good while it lasted, but reality gotta hit you at some point in time. So Charley, she's going out on a run, and she runs and she goes to the daddy's house. And when she gets there, she sees these letters and stuff stuck into the door, like notes or whatever. So she goes inside and she's reminiscing, and everything basically is like it was when they were younger. Everything is so old fashioned and original. You got the old sink, no appliances are updated. You got the old sink, the old stove, the old TV, old furniture, all that stuff look very, very homey. And it's like almost as she's feeling her daddy and her parents' presence in their house right then and there. And while she's doing all of this, she overhears somebody getting out of truck, pulling up, and then telling this person to go survey this, survey that, survey that. And I'm sitting here like, hold the fuck up. That's rude. Okay. So she comes out and it's this guy, and she was like, excuse me, can I help you? He got two of his guys looking at the land. Okay, mind you, on the preview, it said 800 acres or some shit like that. I said, that is a lot of goddamn land, bitch. Damn. Okay. So when that happened, she was like, "Can I help you?" He was like, "Oh, miss, I'm sorry. My name is Sam Landry. They Samuel Landry. They call me Sam down here." And was like, "Okay, so what up?" "Okay, well, you Charlotte, right?" "Charley. So what do you want?" You what's his name? Ernest's daughter. My deepest sympathies to you guys and all this stuff. And we was just trying to take this land off your hand, pay a mighty price for it and all this stuff. And I'm sitting here like, your deepest sympathies, but you are here to buy this land and to take this land from them. And like she said, you weren't even expecting somebody to come to the door. That's why you're doing this. And then he gonna give her her business card, his business card. And I'm sitting here like, that is vultures at his finest. He's no different from the paparazzi who come and attack these celebrities when they going through some stuff trying to get all up in their business, which happens on here too. I'm like, he hasn't even been buried. He hasn't probably been dead for a whole 24 hours, and you are already on his land trying to take it. Okay? Take that shit, bitch. Unless you know how to fix it, because ain't no crop grow on it for 2 years, bitch. Okay? I'm sitting here like, that is so messed up. That is so messed up, and that is how people work, especially in business. It's all about money. He saw money. Okay? He sees an opportunity. He probably gonna do some stuff on that land. Probably wasn't even gonna try to make it into some crops or whatever. Probably was gonna bulldoze the house, and turn it into something else, because that's what they do. That's what they do. We get this scene where Nova, she's going back to work. Okay, forgot to mention that she's a writer for a newspaper, because that's what she was doing in the first episode. So I guess she's like a freelance writer, or she can write from home and she don't necessarily have to come to the office. But her boss called her in, and she was like, "So what is it so important that you wanted me in?" He was like, "I'm trying to get you to do this story, and I want to talk to you about it." She was like, "So what? My other stories about, real important issues, the water and the school education and the water being tainted with lead and all this stuff, that wasn't good enough that you could pick from. So what you want me to do?" And I knew right off the bat when she said that he wanted her to do a story on her sister. I said, that is so trifling and that is so effed up. But see, when you think about it, you can look at it as this way. Like she said, so now you trying to venture off into the gossip world. Bitch, you go get somebody else to do that, because I'm not finna do that. That is my family, okay? You're not finna get nothing out of me. They're gonna ask, do you know the girl name? Bitch, I just said I'm not finna do nothing. But it's also, you can look at it like, now, if she would have said, okay, I do it, at least the sister probably would have got a fair, been painted probably in a higher light and not such as trashy, because you know they try to, even when it's not the other person's fault, they try to find some trash on the other person instead of the actual person who did the shit, trying to make them look just as bad. So you could look at it that way. Either way you look at it, it was still fucked up. And I'm so glad that she just left and said, no, we not about to do this shit. Okay. So Micah, he's at the house with his auntie and Ralph Angel. Charley comes in and was telling them about the letters, and it's from this guy named Remy Noir. And kind of find out Remy is DeAndre Richardson. I'm sitting here like, if y'all look at him on Real Housewives of Real Husbands of Atlanta, no, Real Husbands of Hollywood, and they be making fun of him. In that season when him and his wife Sally Richardson came on there, and Sally was like, she do all the work and get all the roles because he don't do shit, because he don't get no roles, don't nobody know him. I know he's like, they better put this in the new season that he got a role on here. That should be so funny. But anyway, they was just trying to get stuff ready, and she's telling them about what was going on, and telling them how things go and how Remy comes over with the food, and Remy used to do this with the dad and all that stuff. Then we see that, speaking of fathers, Micah's phone keep going off. Okay, Micah's phone keep going off, and before Charley came in there, they were looking at a video that, um the surveillance video of the dad getting the girl, putting her on the shoulder, and all of them guys going into the room. Okay, and it was very TMZ-ish. Okay, their version of TMZ. And um he's just struggling going through all this stuff because the dad calls, he don't answer the phone. The dad is texting back to back, and he don't answer the phone either. And it just pisses me off so much when people do this and they don't realize that it does not, your actions, especially when you are a family person, whether you're a woman, you're a mother, or you're a father, and you have a husband and a wife, your action does not just affect you. It does not just affect your mate. It also affects your children too. Okay, so they have to deal with that drawback. They have to deal with that backlash. He is 15 years old, and he knows exactly what's going on. And he's at that age where kids talk, and kids are fucking ruthless. And he has to go back to school and be like, you don't know the pain that boy gonna have to go through, knowing that people already, your daddy fucked up. He cheated on your mama, and then finna be labeled a rapist and stuff like that. Kids are cruel, and society is cruel, okay? And he gonna have to deal with that. You put all that on that child as well. You didn't think about that, and you want him to just simply forgive you. Girl, get the fuck out of there. That pissed me off. I'm just sitting here like, why do y'all do this shit? So, they was um trying to find a picture for the daddy. And Charley comes in because Ralph Angel Nova and their auntie is there. And she was like, y'all wasn't gonna tell me what y'all was doing and all this stuff. And basically they were just spouting off everything that, has already been done. And at this moment in time, Charley is basically feeling like an outcast, like a leftover, like a stepchild or whatever, because no one has included her really much into anything. And she's just like, well, damn. Okay. So we get this, they was going to go pick out the casket and talk to the funeral home and all that stuff. And they said, okay, cool, you can come. And we get this scene with the, Ralph Angel drops off Blue. Blue was coming back to school after all this stuff was happening. And Blue had his little Barbie doll with him, Kenya. Now, and I seen this on Twitter, and we don't know exactly what that represents, okay? Because Ralph Angel took the Barbie down and was like, Kenya told me she want to stay home and all this stuff. And I appreciate the fact that he does not, you can tell that he has a little bit of problem with with Blue having the Barbie doll, but he is not that type of person to be like, don't no boy supposed to be playing with no Barbie dolls, give me this shit and all this stuff. He not doing that type, okay? He's letting him have it, which makes me think that it's not so much as the fact that, because he did have a little pink car on the table last episode when they panned in and Lil King was sitting on the table too at the end of the episode. But I'm thinking, you do know that a lot of kids, some kids, most kids, it is very true that they know at a young age that they are different. If you want to look at it in that aspect, we're gonna go with that aspect about sexuality and gender and things of that matter. They know that they are different. It could nothing. It probably don't even mean that they feel like they born in the wrong place or something like that, or he might be gay or something like that. It could be something like that, but I'm leaning more so to the fact because I seen this on, somebody tweeted this, and I'm thinking about it now, and it makes a little bit more sense given the, it could be that way with the sexuality and things like that because children do know at a young age. Believe it or not, look it up, research if you don't want to, okay. But it also could represent the fact that his mother is not there, and that dog gives him that comfort or whatever, and taking the place of the mother. Think about it. And I was like, okay, I see that, because he's always asking for her. And Ralph Angel finally, says that she can come and pick him up because on the day of the funeral, he don't want him to be around a casket. He don't want him to be around all this sadness and stuff. He's trying to shield him. And then Auntie was like, you're going to have to break that shit out. Your daddy thought that he did the wrong thing by shielding you from certain stuff that was going on and all this stuff. You got to let him see this stuff, okay? You can't keep on hiding him from the world, basically. And it was his way of giving Bianca, the mama, a chance, And she said, okay, I'll be there. He said, no later than 11 o'clock because after that, we gone or whatever. And she was like, cool. And she was so happy. She was so happy. You can tell that whatever she was going through, she really is trying to get her life together because, this is the thing that gave her joy and everything. And I just saw that transformation light up, And so going back to Charley found meet up with Remy, found out how young he was, and I said, oh, I see what this gonna happen, okay? Love connection all written all over this stuff. And basically he's telling them about, his relationship with their father and how close they were and, stuff that was going on and all this shit. That's fine. We get this other, oh my God, when they was at the funeral home, and basically Nova was basically like, no, we're gonna drive this down to 1,000. No, we can drive it down to 500. You knew my daddy, okay? Some of my clients, he knew you and all this stuff. You was close to us, and you got most of your clients from the people that I done drove over here, okay, bitch? So you can put that shit down to 500. And it was like, okay, fine, we can do it at 9,000. And she said 9,000 it is, and it was like, so, Charley just looking like, oh, okay, you got a little pull over here. So we can pay for this right here. Put it all on my car. She pulled out that American Express, right? Nova said, no, you can divide this shit up on my cars and her cars, okay? You can equally put it on my cars and her cars. Put a third on each of us, okay? And I'll pay Ralph Angel's part. Mind you, Ralph Angel was over because she was like, I'm sitting right here, so I'm gonna pay my way. Just give me a few days until my money come in, but I'm gonna pay my way. And it's like, girl, shut up. Nova said, listen. Charley said, okay, this is what we gonna do. What we gonna do is put half on my card, and then you can divide it amongst her other cards, okay? I didn't take that as shade. Somebody said she was being petty or shady the way she said it. No, because Nova put it out there that she had multiple cards herself, and that's how she wanted it to be divided upon her cards, so that's what it was. They go look for the casket, and it was this white casket because at first they said burgundy. Then it was this purple one because, oh, he's like royalty. No, she sees this white one and she was like, I want this white casket because he was like the black stone and all. And her analogy for it was just so beautiful. And then she said she had a little sage, a little pouch that she wanted to be sewn into the linen. And dude was like, we don't do that type of stuff here. We are a Christian funeral home. Ralph Angel said, look, bruh, if this is what she want to do, this is what she want to do. What the fuck you talking about? And I said, I know. Speak the fuck up for your sister. And they started to put it in there. He said, hold up. This is showroom stuff. This ain't the actual casket. They looked at him like, he said, okay, you know what? You did bring some business here. We are cool. I've been cool with your daddy and your family for a minute, so go ahead and do what you do. And so they did that, and we get this scene where Michael was playing playing checkers with Blue, and his dad calls, and he finally answers the phone, and the dad was like, "Where you at?" And you're not here, you're not there, and he said, "Well, Grandpa died." That's all he needed to say, so that dude knew where they were at. Okay, and of course he comes down there to the gym, cause Micah asks, did they have basketball? They go to the gym, and basically he's trying to plead his case to the son, and then here comes Charley like, I knew you, this shit ain't about you. He was like, I'm down here, I was like family to him and all this stuff, and I'm down here for Ernest, and you need me, and my son don't know what's going on, and I said, your son know exactly what's going on. You are he's 15 years old, he's in high school. I'm pretty sure he has the internet, and I'm pretty sure he looked at a porn or two. Okay, he has friends, they talk, he's not dumb. Okay, and we live in a world of social media. He's not dumb. He know what the fuck sex is. He know what it is to be cheat, when somebody cheat on somebody, when shit ain't right in the family, and when people lie. And I'm pretty sure he knows what rape looks like, or what the definition of rape is. Okay, or some part of it. He knows something. Okay, he's not dumb. Because when he threw that shit out there talking about some, well, y'all need me, my son need me. Dude said, I don't need you. Okay, and I was just like, oops, egg on your face. And they're gonna try to say something. I'm gonna prove to you that it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I'm sitting here like, so you're gonna prove the evidence of a videotape and try to say that what, somebody altered it to make it seem as if you the one that picked that girl up who was very clearly inebriated, okay, and out her shit, and put her over your arm and over your shoulder and slapped her ass and went in last after all them other dudes. Okay, so what you trying to tell us is that you did all of that and you just sat her on the bed and you didn't do nothing, you just watched, you didn't participate in anything. I'm sitting here like, come on now. And did you notice on the first episode when they did that press conference and he was standing up for them, all the wives were there with the accused. And then when it found out that this video comes out, the wives were sitting in the same row next to Micah. And you have to look at their expressions and the disgust and like embarrassment on their faces too. I caught that on the second look, like, ain't this some shit? So they was getting the food and stuff ready, um, for the funeral. And Nova was having this conversation, with Hollywood, which is the auntie's boyfriend. Nova was in there shucking them darn greens and all that stuff, and I could not help but that scene from Martin when Mama Payne was talking to Gina, was like, Gina, you still over there? Shucking them peas, big face. Listen, that shit was so fucking funny. It just kept replaying. But they hear some stuff going on outside. And they was like, who the fuck is this? Hollywood come out there like, what y'all doing? And it was like, we catering, we setting up the stuff for, dinner or whatever. And he was like, nah, bruh, we ain't asked for this. We ain't called for this. You can get the fuck on out of here. And at this moment of time, this was probably one of the powerful little dialogue that went on throughout this episode, when Nova had to tell Charley her motherfucking rights and bring her back down to earth, because it's one thing that she asked, wait a minute, them fish is still alive up in the thing? Nova had said, girl, of course they are. Wait a minute, you mean to tell me you forgot how things work down here? Nova had to remind her again. She said, what the fuck are you doing? Okay, we trying to pay respect to our father. This is not how we do it. We do not serve grieving people food and stuff like that by the hands of other people, by the hands of strangers. We serve them ourselves, okay? That's how we do at our father's repast. Not repast, repast, okay? And we don't do it with American Express. And I said, well, bitch, damn, what you trying to say? Because I got an American Express too, okay? Charley just sat there, stood there like, okay, well, damn. Her feelings was all type of her. I said, well, what can you say after that? I mean, it really wasn't nothing else to say. She read her right, and she had to bring her back down to earth. And I'm sitting here like, well, damn, how long has it been since Charley left the South? Okay, and she don't know, or try not to. She's like my auntie. I told y'all this story before. My parents, well, my mother, my grandmother, and my aunt, my grandmother, my mother, and her my two aunties, they grew up in the projects. Okay, they was in the projects. You ask my auntie, who was the middle child, just like Charley. She didn't get married to somebody who's very successful, money and all that stuff. But you know, she the cool aunt. She really is. Okay. But she that type of person that'll forget, like, you ask her where you grew. She don't remember that she grew up in the projects. I'm like, girl, get your bougie ass out of here. Ain't nothing wrong with that. That gave you life experience. Don't try to have that shit. I'd be like, girl, now you know. Stop playing, okay? That whole scene reminded me of this shit, and I'm loving this damn show because it just keep on bringing me back to some of the flashbacks of my life and connecting my, it's doing that. But um, that shit happened. And so the whole thing that's going on with the auntie, she's worried about Blue and the fact that she thinks that Ralph Angel is going to, take Blue from her after all the stuff that she's done, take him from her. And she even had this, got at her, as I said earlier, got upset at the fact that he was letting Bianca, the baby mama, come, and watch him. And I love that scene once again with Ralph Angel was getting ready. And Blue was like, I need a haircut too for mom. And so he went on ahead and gave him a haircut and he fixed LaKenya hair. I said, look at this. This is so cute. And Bianca, I was about to go there because Bianca, I said, do not have something fuck it up for him, okay? Bianca was about to get off, okay? The boss man come in and said, girl, where you going? She was like, I'm finna get off. And so-and-so said that she was going to cover my shift. She was like, no, she's supposed to come in tomorrow. I was like, well, I need to be off to go get my son. Well, you need this job to pay for your son, right? Because if you leave now, you ain't going to have a job to come back to. And she was like, I said, ain't this about a bitch? This is all going to give Ralph Angel a reason to be pissed off at her. Really is. Because she's not going to be able to come at the time that she needs to watch him. And sure enough, what winds up happening, that winds up happening. They had to take little Blue to the funeral with them. But prior to that, here come fucking Davis again. Met up with at church with Charley. Charley like, see, you don't listen. Huh? You just gonna do whatever the fuck it is that you want to. He was like, you right. You right. I do be thinking about myself and it ain't about me. I said, you know what? If you understood what she was talking about with all the stuff and drama that's going on, I understand you got this so-called relationship with Ernest and all this, but you fucked up and you are drama right now. Drama that she don't need. Give her some time to grieve before you bring your shit and pile it up on that. Okay? Let her deal with one thing at a time. You being there is a constant reminder of what she also is running away from, besides the fact that she's coming down here for her father's funeral. You know what I'm saying? Like, give her some fucking time and let her breathe, bitch. Understand that you did do wrong. Ain't no denying that shit. The videotape right there, okay? So, at one point, they outside, and he trying to butter her up, and he was talking in words, and I said, Charley, don't you do it. She, next thing you know, she crying into his chest. I said, you know what, Charley, you better clench them legs, okay? Whatever moisture that just dripped, you better suck that shit back up, and you better go back up in that church and let that shit go. You better not fall for it. You better not fall for it, okay? Let me turn this channel on next week and find out that you slept with them. I know that's your husband, but I'm going to be pissed the fuck off, okay, girl? So, it comes time for the funeral, and let me just tell you this. the 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 brown skin, the black skin, all of that skin, the blackness of this whole funeral was just so fucking beautiful. And to have Nova and Charley and Ralph Angel just sitting there in all that white, and that white is just emphasizing the beautifulness of their skin. It was just fucking everything. Question: when they were at the auntie's house or whatever, and they saw them flowers, and Charley was like, oh, where these flowers come from? And then Nova said, your mother sent them. So, confirm this for me, if y'all was confused about that. Does that mean that her mother-in-law sent them, or Charley got a different mama than them, Ralph and Nova? Or does that mean that they all got the same mama and the mama is just estranged from them or some shit like that? Or what? What do y'all think that meant? Am I looking a little too into it? Because I just caught on to that for some reason. But they had the funeral, and It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And Bianca showed up. And Blue saw her. And she started running to her. And sure enough, here come Ralph Angel like he finna get up and cause a scene. Hollywood pushed him down and said, let it go. And I'm sitting here, just let it go. She ain't finna cause no scene. She did show up. Even though she late, she showed up. But that was um what this called. What is this episode? What's the show called? That was Queen Sugar, y'all. Y'all tell me how y'all feel about it, and I will see you guys later. I love it. I love it. I gotta go watch Catfish. See y'all. Peace. And the original time for the show is on Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, whichever one you at. Peace, y'all.